In the domain of communication and culture, we have launched several initiatives during the year 2024. You were able to celebrate with us the month of local consumption. We had the traditional day, the heritage month. Many activities has been conducted. We will continue to bring back to the surface our culture because that is where we find our identity. We need continuous action in this direction to highlight our culture and custom and to value the Burkinabe lifestyle. We wish that everyone should be an actor in the emergence of Burkina Faso through their own way of communication, because everything is in communication. You have followed the war lately. Communication has been set up against us and it continues. It's not going to stop, and we wish that all those who are into communication can be professional when we want to perform a communication act. When a question arises, whether it is for the homeland or against the homeland, before responding to the act, no matter what, you may not like me, my person. You should not love me, but you must love your country. By making me bad, we should not confuse the country. And the policy in the field of communication, we have to move in this direction, and we will be obliged to reframe communication on all aspects. And this is the line of conduct which will be adopted. We will not allow Burkinabe to communicate against Burkina Faso. We will always be involved to raise awareness. We must be able to raise awareness among the masses so that people understand why we have to fight on all fronts. Returning to the field of agriculture, as you can see, we have launched initiatives since 2023. And this year, the offensive has been launched. It is happening more than ever. So I would like people to understand that we have decided to put a large part of our budget and our time to agriculture, because more than 90% of our population are peasants. But for decades, they have never felt the interests of the public. And this is why we have decided to undertake a number of initiatives and actions as well. We will be able to plow all the field of all the farmers in Burkina Faso and give them the seeds they need, while allowing them to have the necessary inputs at a subsidized cost to be able to help us in the fight against food insecurity. Because food security is a right. It is in this the same sense that we have recently created the National Office for Dam Development of Hydro Agricole. We are going to equip it because you have witnessed in different regions that we have retained a lot of waters in many dams which are silted up but which are blocked. But we have the possibilities of making other dams. We are in the process of paying for equipment for these offices so that it can be deployed on the territory and with the contribution of the population to be able to build many dams and remove a lot of sands. We will continue this fight. We will continue this fight until we achieve food sufficiency and our population can eat to their satisfaction. In the domain of infrastructure, we critically lack roads. And by analyzing, we found that some roads are very old, and for others, they are known. We cannot build roads without survey. Surveys are prerequisites. This is why, in the sector, we have ordered the minister to carry out a lot of studies on many sections, which allow us in the future to be able to launch work. And to do this work well, to make it sustainable on many sections. For this, we have noticed that the cost of tarring 1 kilometer section are around 500 million francs. So, for 100 kilometers, with the sanitation work, we have no less than 60 billion for making 100 kilometers of tarred road. Is very expensive and very costly. The techniques has been to create intervention brigades and infrastructures. We are trying to equip several brigades with equipment to do the minimum and allow the construction company to live and do their part. We have shared it into two to be able to reduce expenses and to be able to do a maximum number of routes, possibly in labs. It has already started and we will continue this process over the course of these 5 years so that in all regions we can even be able to combine the maximum number of provincial capitals and that we can sell our goods and people can move around the area easily. In the domain of urban planning, we are in the process of being able to redesign our cities, and if you notice, the cities are too big. If we take Ouagadougou, but infrastructures, sanitation and others do not follow. This means that we are wading in the mud and we do not have enough sanitation. It creates a lot of diseases which can lead to epidemics. We have a process of being able to concentrate cities through construction sites. For this, we have a plan that we have established to be able to go to a district and concentrate the maximum and extend to the districts. Certainly, if people are moved to these areas, a lot of land will become available to be able to draw up good plans for our cities. We will start with a certain number of cities first, and to be able to extend it to other cities. Urban planning must therefore be able to lead us to play on the health aspect, because if urbanization is done well, there are a good number of diseases such as badness, cholera, and some diseases related to dirt that are stagnating in our streets. So, we are going to have good results in the health sector. This will bring me to the health sector. We have decided for some time to raise the technical level of certain numbers of CHS to equip certain centers with scanners and devices that can allow citizens to have adequate and at lower cost examination. We will continue in this process. That's why we launched the Presidential Health Initiatives at the last Council of Ministers. It will be a question of creating what we have called communal health center. And in this health center, we have integrated a minimum of services that must be provided to the population. Imagine this, that is to say, things like ultrasound, X-ray, blood banks, and also laboratories for the populations of the different provinces and municipalities. Some municipalities do not have means and need ambulance for blood transfusion to take patients to certain centers which do not arrive because of bad road conditions. So this initiative is already launched and we will ensure that we can, so that we start building the first centers and equipping them before the end of the year, and continues gradually to the limit of our means to be able to give a strong health system to all our populations. We do not want to see someone leaving their localities to come to CHS for an X-ray or for a blood transfusion. So, it is possible. It is very possible because coming back again to the imperialists who have plundered us for a long time, look at their simple hospitals for their animals. It's better equipped than our health centers. It is not conceivable. We can reach this level, and we have decided to fight to reach this level. The minister has been instructed to train the necessary personnel to equip these centers as we set them up, because it requires committed professionals. And to be more precise, we have noticed that We have doctors. Taking the examples of those who operate on the heart, we are therefore supporting them to be able to have a really well-equipped institute that will allow some heart surgery to be performed on site because they have the capacity. It is the equipment that is lacking. We are waiting for updates to be able to help and support them. Many other specialties have shown their proof, and we will do everything to support them. So, in this sense of their initiatives, there are also plans to resuscitate centers in some CHS which do not have them because we are told that after several operations, patients often die due to lack of resuscitation centers. So, it is a complete process that we have implemented to be able to strengthen the health system. And we are convinced that if the Burkina Bay eats to their satisfaction and the urbanization is done well, then we have already gained in health quality on many levels. And it must now be accompanied with equipment. In the domain of education, we have made the diagnosis, and as you know, our fellow students are here. They will not say otherwise. How to live this overlaps of years, how to redo the system, and well, we came to a conclusion to launch the initiatives for quality education. It will integrate all aspects from kindergarten to university. The first building will have to be built before the end of the year. We have opted for high-rise construction to bring the number of students in a given area to enable in-depth and judicious monitoring of teaching. Because teaching is also education, and in the end, we will have complexes in most of our municipalities. That goes from nursery to secondary school, and the university centers must see their capacities increase. Also, when we take our classroom today, 3 classroom classes that are built everywhere. The rainy season started. The bad weather again to show us that this is not the right option. That is why we don't want to do these isolation centers anymore with small houses of 3 rooms. And we will move on to height construction to have the maximum number of students in a given space and the consequent supervision for quality education. And many other things will be initiated from primary school. We will return to certain fundamentals of discipline and to establish a certain number of values to be instilled in the youths from primary school onwards so that they are good citizens of tomorrow. There would therefore be a start of military training, if I can say it like that, civics and patriotic, for the youths to be able to continue in high school and the national program at the level of SNZ. It is in the amendment process. The text came from the council and we send it back with amendments so that the workers who are currently active can also go to these centers to have military training and organize themselves over specific periods. It's all about discipline. Military training must be able to discipline the people. So we are going to instill a certain number of values at the level of our education. Coming back to the university centers, before the end of the year, we will begin the construction of a certain number of amphitheaters and continues when we have means. We are going on the aspects of restoration of our cities, and at the level of different university centers, we will start with the amphitheaters to allow somewhere to work, so that the gaps that is there in terms of overlapping years can be reduced considerably. We have made a budgetary regulation which must pass through the assembly for months in order to be able to initiate all these operations. What does that mean? We have reduced the operating expenses of the administration so as to be able to inject elsewhere, particularly in education and health. This program is ready. It has been launched, and in the days to come, you will witness the evolution of everything we are telling you, and we will continue this plan throughout these 60 months, which has been given to us devotedly. Coming to the field of mines, I said earlier, we have adopted a new policy. Burkina Faso is full of many kinds of minerals, but This is a mineral for which is no more a secret for the Burkina, and I am going there to greet our very courageous and good prospectors who managed to enter the depths of our land to extract these minerals. We said to ourselves, why continue to let foreign multinationals come and extract our gold, while we know how to exploit it ourselves? This is why we have ordered the minister to reorganize the gold miners, and the government is going to take account the exploitation of gold. Several permits, as I said, will be withdrawn from certain people, and we will exploit it ourselves. We will equip ourselves. We will equip ourselves with machines to do it, but even if we do not manage to equip ourselves in a way, consequently our people have proven their courage, and we are going to dig our own gold, and that will be for us in Burkina Faso. For the other substance, where we can't, our sincere partners who accept to accompany us in this fight, it is them alone that we will be able to concede some permits, because they agreed to accompany us in the fight for our sovereignty, in the fight against terrorism, and we have issued a new mining code which is currently in the assembly, and I hope that it will be voted next week to impose a new model to the various companies that will come to exploit gold here, so that the maximum profit is for the states. And in the energy sector, as you have seen, we have serious energy problems. The increase in population has not been followed by the energy policy. Today, when the heat peaks arrive, we have permanent power cuts. Many activities are suffering. We are in discussion with partners who are currently in Burkina Faso to urgently build a very large thermal power station capacity. So we want to negotiate with them how we can reduce construction time and the financial model that are going to be put in place. We hope to achieve this while waiting for the process, which may seem long. The nuclear power plant can therefore see the light of day. On this aspect, we can assure you that it is going very well, and we are in the process of setting up a unit here, if I may say so, to train Burkina, who must take over, who must follow all the construction process and take over the transfer of skills. So it will really take a fair scientific process, so that we are in the future when the power plant will be here. So that in no distant future, it will be the exclusive property of Burkina. Burkina engineers will take ownership of it and be able to maintain it. When concluded, therefore, the discussion which are in progress with the partners of the thermal power station will see you the day, and we will make this available to you. If we need you, we will tell you, so that we can quickly implement this plan. Speaking in the field of economy, which is very important to us, we are in the process of setting up the process of payment of our internal debt, which we have begun slowly with the smallest debts. The invoices of less than 100 million have been paid, and we are continuing as we go, because it will help to relieve the private sector and be able to relaunch the economy. Presently, we will quickly turn to the state companies. Their general meeting has just ended. As you have seen, they work very well. They have achieved good results. So we will start from state companies, subtract little from their data to relieve the internal debts and get the economy going. So in the days to come, if God pleases, many entrepreneurs must be relieved after signing the convention with the state companies. We are in a trend. So in the mining sector, as I told you, to take a certain independence, it should allow us to be able to have a good number of resources in terms of finance. Also, above all the industrialization aspect which must come in to fuel this economic aspect, we spend a lot abroad. We are putting in place all the processes so that our currencies are not coming from outside. While waiting at the level of the AES, as you have noticed, we have decided to set up an investment bank and also a sovereign fund. This process that technicians are thinking about, and we hope in the near future we will present something substantial. Other things like strategic aspects that I don't want to talk about, and which you know, we are moving forward wisely, and when the time comes, it will surprise you. Therefore, stay tuned. That is all I can say. In the trade and industrialization section, we have also made the diagnosis, as I was telling you. Currently, as you can see, we have listed a good number of products that we can import from outside. Then we are starting a process of industrialization. Let's get as many industries as possible on site to transform our raw materials and to be able to make what we consume. We are in the process and we are discussing with many partners to have the maximum numbers of industries on site. This will make our currencies not to go out and that our economy works well, and we can also have employment for young people. It is in this context that we have taken certain decrees to make it easier to create small businesses. We have cut down on everything tax for a good number of years so that small businesses can be created and survive. Unfortunately, small businesses find themselves faced with financing needs. It must be said, at the level of banks, it turns out to be very complicated so that we can have financing when you create your company. We met with the World Bank, and as I said, we had conversations, but I am not satisfied because the return had to be made so that we could accompany them to finance the small businesses. It's not satisfactory. That is why we are reorganizing our funds, which was available at the state level. We have gathered them into a number of funds, both at the agricultural and at the level of Ministry of Employment, to be able to replenish these funds soon, to be able to assist young people who create businesses, to have credit and to be able to start. So, and I take this advantage to call out the World Bank to come back with proposals, because we have solutions, but maybe not a good solution for them, but they need to come back a little to support us so that we can be able to help young people get through this situation. If necessary, we will be obliged to put a plan in place, maybe which will not be pleasant, but we will be obliged. In the domain of commerce, as you have noticed, many people have approached us during our tour of the ER market. We took stock of the situation there. There is so much work to rebuild the ER market. So today, when you go to Ouagadougou, the mayor holds sessions of raising awareness everywhere concerning a certain numbers of traders who have set up in an anarchic way on the edge of the streets. I instructed that they should continue raising awareness while waiting that we clear the space to build markets worthy of the name, and ask people to come and take shops in this market in order to free up the streets, expand it and clean up our environment. And I take advantage to ask you, the population of the cities, to help us in this awareness phase. by sensitizing yourself so as not to go and build around the tsunami posts, which are a danger to yourselves. Do not build on the water drainage channels, and I am counting on you so that we can achieve these objectives. Returning to the aspect of employment, sports and youth, we are in the process of carrying out reforms. There will be a ministerial reshuffle in a few days where the architecture of the ministries will be changed a little bit. We will dedicate an entire ministry to the secondary and vocational training so that we no longer need to have at the level of university this blockage which is there. Currently, we must be able to professionalize many young people from high school who either at the 4th grade or at the level of the 2nd grade. The people can decide to go into vocational courses and be able to be self-employed. So a ministry will be dedicated just for that, because the educational system, as I said, after diagnosis, you will agree with me that we train very few engineers. Meanwhile, a nation which has developed, the index of development also, in terms of trained engineers, go back in history and see all these great nations. The number of trained engineers in specific specialties counts a lot in the development of Burkina Faso. We do not have enough. That is why the Polytechnic School of Ouagadougou, we want to develop it into a polytechnic university by putting a certain number of technological and technical courses there and recruiting the maximum number of students who can be trained there and have engineers. It is good that we have sectors like modern letter, philosophy, rights, and so forth. Psychology, history. Many students end up there against their will. It is not necessary what they choose, but it is the available courses which necessarily does not provide employment opportunities. That is why we have decided to promote this sector. Therefore, vocational training and employment by devoting an entire ministry to it. So in the coming days, this will be done and you will see how we will evolve. At the level of sport, the youth and sport, we have judged that we must take back control. We must take back control to refocus. Because, first of all, sports permits us to avoid certain numbers of these. Drugs, alcohol, certain visits of society can be fought through sports. So, we want to put posts in all the regions. We consider the UCBF and all sport disciplines to be able to promote them and create nurseries so that at the level of professionals, we have the maximum number of Burkinabe who defend the colors of Burkina Faso outside. A minister will be dedicated for that. So there are already a lot of texts that have been written, and we are going to implement this in the next few days after the revival to create by ourselves this space. This will require that we unite a certain number of forces to achieve them, and I count on you at the level of each region to be able to have this sporting discipline and to encourage each other to do sports, to be able to identify talents and bring them out. So, some aspects of governance, such as the digital transition, we are trying to do it because it is a bit a new process to us. We are in dematerialization to be able to fight against corruption and also to facilitate many things for us. The process has already started, and you will see every day the applications that we are created, which will therefore allow to be able to make a good number of facilitation, a good number of activities at the users level, even at the justice level. You have been able to see that the judicial cases and nationality certificates today can be easily obtained online. So we will continue in this process. Returning to at the domain of humanitarian, we have given instructions to the ministry. It is the Ministry of Women and Gender, Social Cohesion and Humanitarian Action. They are the ones who deal with all these issues, but we have decided in the first phase to focus on humanitarian actions, particularly supporting populations to return to their villages. Today, imagine the population returning to their villages at the beginning of the season or during the rainy season. It is very difficult for them to be able to feed themselves at that time. So, some sort of shelters can be arranged. So, the presence of the ministry, including gender and others, it is because we have instructed the ministry to focus on humanitarian actions, offering measures so that villages can be reunited and villages can have the minimum to survive. And for a moment, we are interested in all these aspects, because the social cohesion we are talking about can only come about when people first eat. A poor person and a rich man cannot sit on the same table and talk if one is hungry. If he is hungry and the other is okay, it is complicated. That is what I spend my time telling everyone who comes to talk to us about social cohesion. Someone cannot be hungry and someone who eats to his satisfaction. It is not possible to sit them down to talk at the same table. Everyone has to have something to eat. That is why it is in the fight that there is cohesion. Accept the fight. It is in the fight, it is in the war that the AES was born. It is in the struggle that we were able to unite in the Sahel. It is in the struggle that Burkina Faso is united. Go and see all the villages that return. I invite you to go around. Many have come from different provinces. They can be in their village with disagreement. They have been hiding, but when they return, they are more united than ever. Social cohesion is found in the fight too. And to finish, I left the domain of justice last to complete our vision in this area. Because we have a serious problem in this area. We have recently started reforms at the level of Supreme Council of Magistracy. We have seen writings, we have seen behaviors of certain unions of the world of justice. Very well, some have tried to boycott everything they can. But, as Job said, with or without them, we will move forward. We have pleaded. We have pleaded for just justice, if we can say. We have sensitized many people, but we have realized that there are a lot of black sheep. Unfortunately, we cannot understand that despite everything, let's say there is justice for the poor and justice for the rich, it can't continue. When we say it, they say we must not talk about this. We will talk about it very well. Because what you have noticed until today, when an ordinary citizen who is ignorant of the law, even when we say ignorance of the law is not an excuse, an ordinary citizen has a legal problem, we can catch him and put him in prison without trial for a long time. But when another citizen has a problem in court and he can mobilize 2 or 3 lawyers, his case is quickly taken into account and quickly judged, while the poor languish in prison. We cannot accept this kind of situations. There are things on which we do not want to pronounce ourselves out of duty of reserves, because we are at a certain level where we don't want to speak, but we are going to break this taboo. It can't continue like this. People have to change their ways. Many people are still imprisoned without trial. We will launch a campaign soon to judge these people who are in prison for months without being judged, because we can't pay people and still want them to pay when there is a judgment. This practice will stop. It is part of the function. And unfortunately, I say it loud and clear, and therefore invite the magistrates who are sincere. They have given the time also, and to quit certain logic, because there are many black sheep in their ranks. There are corrupt magistrates who are hiding behind unions to ask a certain number of questions. Until now, we have remained in a certain logic to try to respect certain regulations. But I want them to understand, it is not because they know how to talk. We know how to talk. If someone continues in this logic, at every moment, we will be in front of the people to explain to them why we violated such a court decision, as long as it does not need with approval. Because there is the term, the homeland first, the homeland before all. If a bad decision is taken supposedly to protect individuals who harm the homeland, we will oppose, and we will not allow the decision to be carried out, and we will explain why we oppose. The Supreme Council of Magistracy has been modified in its architecture. They will be installed, if it has not already been done, and they will start their work. And all those who have the files, the magistrates who were caught red-handed, that have files, we will put everything up to date. They will be judged like others. There will be no favor. They are aware. Because injustice is a plague that destroys the society. Yes, injustice is a plague that destroys our society. And it must be clear. Some will say that we do not need to say it here. We need to say it. We are warning them, and it will be done. They will see it in the days to come. It is a warning at the same time. At the level of Supreme Council of Magistracy that will be put in place to take all cases seriously. Some people were forced into corruption. Some economic operators were swindled and forced into corruption by certain members of the justice system so that they can come and denounce these individuals. They will be judged also. We want another form of justice. We are not doing it for ourselves. We are not doing it for ourselves, but we do it for the masses, because both categories of citizens, this minority, which find itself being the ruling minority, and the majority, which has the popular peasant masses, which languishes in the villages. We are not going to allow this distancing in terms of justice. So I left the part of justice with this last part, to say that the battle will be launched. We will not continue to tolerate them in order to enrich them. We will clean them. And if necessary, and if from these proposals that I hold today, some decided to make mood swings and not to work, they are free. We will take the measures we know, but the country is going to move forward. All Burkinabe needs dignity. Burkinabe needs to live in peace and justice by taking into account certain values. We have seen families that have been destroyed because of small court decisions that destroy this. I take as an example a simple fight in neighborhoods, a simple fight in the neighborhood. We take someone with neck injury and put in prison. We don't even realize that it is this woman and children who are going to perish in poverty. We destroy families because of that. We have asked that the penal code should be rewritten. And it is a step-by-step process. We are going to change drastically the model of justice. Because we have said it, and we preach it. There are plenty of mistakes. There are plenty of mistakes that can be solved without necessarily going to prison. And I can promise you that in these 5 years, we will make sure to drastically reduce the number of prisons and increase the number of workers on our playing field, because we are going to get back our playing field. On this, we are therefore not going to detour ourselves on all aspects. We will stop there, because you have a lot of questions to surely ask about what we have just said, and we are going to bring you clear, simple, and precise answers. Thank you very much, and I will leave the floor to you. Africa, wake up. Africa, rise up. Africa without borders. Africa, continental free trade area. The time is now. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.